my favor now.
He's the brilliant scientist with not so brilliant intentions. It's Dr. Ivo Robotnik, or as he's better known by, Dr. Eggman from the Sonic series. For those of you who don't know who Dr. Eggman is Sonic the Hedgehog's arch nemesis, very similar to how Bowser is Mario's arch nemesis. Dr. Eggman is a brilliant inventor who is able to build any robot from nothing but scrap metal, but instead of using his inventions to help people, he'd much rather use his inventions to turn all of nature into his own robotic army so he can destroy that heinous hedgehog and his friends, as well as to finally build his envisioned Eggman empire. Despite that sounding cliche, Dr. Eggman is no minor threat to Sonic and his friends. He has a whopping 300 IQ and is able to build anything he puts his mind to. He's built hundreds of thousands of robots that are capable of defeating Sonic, even some able to take over the entire world. Although he's built even more robots whose purpose is rather questionable. Regardless, Dr. Eggman is a force to be reckoned with. And today, Dr. Eggman will try his best to destroy that blue pineapple and any hero on the Super Smash Bros. Roster. Now before I begin, I need to address something. Dr. Eggman himself isn't a fighter. He's an inventor. The thing is, he uses those inventions to help his own fighting skills or to fight for him. So to properly represent that, Eggman will pilot his Eggwalker from Sonic Adventure 2. I know some people want me to include his Eggmobile, but honestly, I think it makes more sense for him to pilot this instead. In this Eggwalker, Eggman would be the second heaviest fighter in the entire roster. He'd have 3 jumps, and he would be able to glide using the Eggwalker's legs. But now, let's dive into his costumes. For Eggman's default appearance, he'll be in his iconic red and black jumpsuit. First alt, he'll wear a blue jumpsuit, a direct reference towards Sonic, but it could also reference Dr. Eggman's most greatest creation, Metal Sonic. Then for his second alt, Eggman will wear a yellow suit, which references one of his right-hand robots, Cubot. For his third alt, Eggman will wear green, which references the Master Emerald. For his fourth alt, Eggman will wear white, which references Eggman's grandfather and the creator of Shadow the Hedgehog, Dr. Gerald Robotnik. Then for his fifth alt, Eggman's colors will get inverted, and he also gets a gray mustache, which references Dr. Eggman Nega, Eggman's descendant from the future and or his alternate dimensional counterpart. The Sonic continuity is inconsistent and it's terrible. Anyways, for his sixth alt, Eggman will go retro and become Dr. Robotnik, which is what he was called in the original games before eventually rebranding himself as Eggman. And finally, for his 7th alt, Robotnik's outfit turns pink with polka dots, which references the original design for Robotnik where he wore pajamas instead of a full suit. Now with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the moveset. As you probably guessed, Eggman's Eggwalker is sort of an amalgamation vehicle. Basically, for this moveset, Eggman will use different abilities from a bunch of his past inventions in this Eggwalker. So starting off with the jab, the mech will grow 2 claws that punch forwards 3 times. That last punch is unique because the claw actually hits behind Eggman. This attack comes from the Sonic game Sonic the Fighters. For the side tilt, Eggman will shoot out a punching glove from the front of the mech. This comes from Eggman's playable appearance in Sonic Adventure 2. For the down tilt, Eggman drops a small blue orb that falls from the top of the mech. This comes from Eggman's boss fight from Chemical Plant Zone in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. For the up tilt, Eggman raises a bounce pad from the back of the mech. It doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but it does have incredible knockback. I made it like this because it references the first Eggman boss fight from Sonic CD. Yes, the bounce pads didn't deal damage in the original game, but it did launch Sonic. Now for the smash attacks, Eggman will utilize his abilities from his strongest inventions. So for his forward smash, Eggman will use a hammer that grows from the front of the mech and slams it downwards. This is a very strong smash attack, so much so that this will give King DD's forward smash a run for its money. Unfortunately, it does have a lot of start lag and a lot of end lag. This move comes from a hair mech in Aquatic Ruin Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog 2. For his down smash, Eggman will spin a ball and chain beneath himself. Despite it spinning, it launches foes on impact. This references the very first Eggman boss fight from the first Sonic game. For the up smash, Eggman will grow 2 drills on both sides of the mech. The drills deal multiple hits of damage until the final hit. This comes from the Egg Digger from the first Sonic game. For the neutral air, Eggman will spawn a few egg bots that spin multiple times around himself. This comes from the Egg Bouncer mech in the first Sonic game. For the forward air, Eggman will use the hammer again and swing it from high to low. As you might have guessed, this move is capable of spiking any opponents who happen to be too close. For the back air, we're going to be moving away from the classics and move straight to the more modern Sonic titles. So for his back air, Eggman will spin backwards and swing an electric sword behind himself. This comes from the Egg Dragoon in Sonic Unleashed. For the down air, Eggman will shoot out a spiky ball as a projectile. It deals quite a bit of damage, but it does disappear after it lands on an opponent or until it hits the stage. This comes from the Egg Spiker from the first Sonic game. And finally, for the up air, 2 spiky balls and chain grow on opposite sides of the mech and swing upwards, clapping the foe in between. This comes from the Gapsule boss fight from Sonic and Knuckles. But where Eggman unleashes his master plan is with his special attacks. For Eggman's neutral special, Eggman will shoot out an infrared light beam from the mech. This light beam doesn't deal any damage, but that's not what it's intended for. This infrared light beam is a homing device, so if a foe happens to stand in the light beam, a homing reticle will appear on the opponent. Once the special button is let go, the opponent is then met with a barrage of missiles that shoot out from the Egg Walker. The rockets deal quite a bit of damage, but they do count as projectiles, so be wary of that when using this move against characters with reflectors. This was Eggman's signature ability in Sonic Adventure 2. Now for Eggman's side special, the Egg Walker turns into a drill and drives forwards. There's quite a bit you can do while in the Egg Driller. While you drive forward, the drill will have incredible super armor, which means that Eggman will be much harder to launch. Not only that, but if a foe happens to get hit by the front of the Egg Driller, they'll be dragged along and take multiple hits of damage. Unfortunately, you can't turn around while driving the Egg Driller, so as soon as you drive off the stage, you're more than likely to lose a stock. However, you can jump out of the Egg Driller by jumping or dodge rolling out of it. This comes from the first boss fight in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now for Eggman's down special, Eggman will build a Badnik. Badniks are robotic animals that were intended to capture animals and use them as power sources to make even more Badniks. There are multiple types of Badniks that Eggman has, and Eggman will build one of 3 different types. The first type of Badnik Eggman will build is the iconic Motobug. Motobugs are motorized robots that will drive left or right in the original game, and for Smash, that's exactly what it'll do. Just like in the original game, touching it will cause you to take damage. Unfortunately, it doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. You remain on screen until 10 seconds have passed, or if it takes a total of 10% of damage, whichever happens first. The next type of Badnik is the Buzz Bomber. The Buzz Bomber doesn't stay on stage, but flies around in the air shooting a small projectile. The Buzz Bomber can stay on screen for a total of 15 seconds, or until it takes a total of 15% of damage. Again, whichever happens first. And the final type of Badnik that Eggman will build is the Crab Meat. These act very similar towards the Motobug, but instead of traveling on a wheel, it slowly walks from left to right, and shoots out 2 small projectiles. This is the strongest type of Badnik, taking a total of 20% damage until it's destroyed. Now something I should mention about all of these Badniks is that you only have a total of 4 per stock. After you use the down special 12 times, you won't be able to use it again until you lose a stock. And finally, for Eggman's up special, he'll ride in his iconic flying machine, the Eggmobile. This up special works just like Rob's up special, having Eggman rise into the air for a short period of time until he slowly falls down. Although he can't go into freefall. Overall, Eggman in Super Smash Bros. Would be great at causing pressure on all of his opponents with his super strong attacks and his intelligent mind. However, I failed to mention something at the beginning of the video. I mentioned that Eggman is super intelligent, that he's had robots that have taken over the world. So you may be asking, wait, if Eggman's smart enough to take over the world, then why hasn't he done it? Well, aside from a single game, which honestly wasn't even that impressive, the true reason Eggman hasn't taken over the world is because of his big ego. He is overconfident in his own abilities that he doesn't play it safe, which ultimately leads him to be thwarted by Sonic. So for Super Smash Bros., this'll be his big gimmick. As I mentioned, Eggman has too much confidence in his own work thanks to his ever-inflated pride. So to prove that pride does in fact come before a fall, Eggman's Eggwalker will get destroyed as soon as the Eggwalker takes a total of 80% of damage. The reason I chose 80% specifically is because it references the fact that most boss fights in the original Sonic games get defeated after 8 total hits. While Eggman's Eggwalker is destroyed, Eggman will be stuck in a temporary moveset that is, dare I say, pathetic. He moves a lot faster than when he was in the Eggwalker, but his weight class changes from a super heavyweight to a below average heavyweight, meaning that Eggman will be much easier to KO than when he was in the mech. He also would have 2 very bad jumps and would lose his ability to glide. Now for all of his neutral, smash, and aerial attacks, they all will involve one thing: slapping. Although when he slaps, it'll be pretty weak and won't deal a whole lot of damage and knockback. Not only that, but anytime Eggman lands a hit while slapping, he'll suffer an uncomfortable amount of end lag. Now for Eggman's new specials, these will slightly be better than the neutral attacks, but they still won't be as strong as his specials when he was in the Eggwalker. So for Eggman's new neutral special, he'll equip his laser gun from Sonic Adventure 2. For this special, he'll shoot a long distance laser, which works just like Kazuya's. Unfortunately, it still doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. For his new side special, he'll throw one of his right-hand robots, Orbot and Cubot. This side special is kinda odd because Eggman tosses either Orbot or Cubot as a large projectile of sorts. Orbot will travel the farthest because of his round shape, but he won't deal as much damage as Cubot. Cubot, on the other hand, travels the shortest but is slightly stronger than Orbot. Now for Eggman's down special, Eggman will pull out a teleportation device that allows him to teleport one of his egg pawns. The egg pawn will walk on screen indefinitely until it gets hit by a single attack, or until it bumps into an opponent. And finally, for Eggman's new up special, it'll be his flying egg chair from the cinematics of Sonic Colors. It's your standard up special that sends him in the air for a few seconds and then sends him into freefall after it's gone. I know what you're thinking. This secondary moveset sounds terrible. But don't worry, if you happen to survive for 30 seconds without getting KO'd, the Eggman Enterprises logo will appear over Eggman's head, implying that his Eggwalker is finished with his repairs. In order to get the Eggwalker back, you need to press the down special, and Eggman will resume the fight in his Eggwalker 2.0. So overall, I'd say this moveset describes who Eggman is. He's super intelligent and can put pressure on anyone he faces, but he also can be thwarted thanks to his pride problem and the fact that he tends to leave very exploitable weaknesses in all of his work. But now, for the final smash. Dr. Eggman's final smash will be the Death Egg Robot. For this final smash, the Eggwalker turns into the Eggmobile and flies away. All of a sudden, the Death Egg Robot is seen in the background with Eggman piloting it, and he's ready to exact his revenge on all of the opponents. Then, a reticle will appear on screen, and you can control where to aim this by using the control stick. Once you press the attack button, or until 5 seconds pass, the Death Egg Robot will shoot out the robot's fist. After that, you can fire a second fist into any direction, ending the final smash. If you happen to use this final smash during your temporary moveset, you'll automatically gain a new Eggwalker after the final smash ends. This final smash references one of Eggman's most famous creations with the same name. The stage of choice is the Death Egg. This stage will mostly take place outside the Death Egg, but occasionally the stage will go right into the Egg Hangar. Whilst in the Egg Hangar, various robots will be booing the opposing foe. Not only that, but if the opponent happens to be a hero character, like Sonic or Mario, they'll actually start attacking them. So if you happen to be playing as a villain, the robots will actually try to aid you. As you might have guessed, most of the songs that will come with Eggman are the various boss themes of the Sonic series. In total, 21 songs would be included, 8 of which would be remixed.
Get a load of this!
And that would be if Dr. Eggman joined Super Smash Bros. While I personally like other Sonic characters more than Eggman, I think if we were to get another Sonic rep, it needs to be Eggman, because he's been around just as long as Sonic has, and is even considered to be the second most iconic villain in video game history. Plus, isn't it kind of weird that we have a Smash game where we have Ridley, King K. Rool, and even Sephiroth as playable fighters, yet we don't have Eggman? It's a missed opportunity for sure. Anyways, do you have a character you'd like to see be given a Smash moveset? If so, let me know in the comments down below. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe? That way you can get notified when I put out any Super Smash Bros. Moveset videos. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.